any polished slide deck. Publish your working, invite scrutiny, and watch trust build. Celebrate success, or someone else will write the narrative. We are modest in Wales. Trumpet shouting feels gauche to us, yet silence leaves a vacuum that sceptics will happily fill. A regular bright spots note can keep morale aloft and give the media something other than protest noise to quote. That's what I've tried to do through my chair's reports. Volunteers and donors are a strategic asset, not a sideshow. Operational crises from snowblock vaccine days to platelet shortages were solved because volunteers and donors stepped up. Invest in their experience as diligently as you would invest in a new scanner. Win the long game. You don't need to win every meeting. Patience, facts, and courtesy outglass volume every time. These maxims are not etched in marble. Context evolves, but they serve me faithfully through 7 years of service. And I think we have a vision which is within reach, especially so with the new energy provided by our new chief executive. By spring 2027, the new Velindre Cancer Centre will open its doors, an all-electric, BRIAM excellent building where birdsong pipes through rooftop gardens and apprentices from the Meadows project supervise the next cohort of trainees. Beyond the hardware, I imagine a future where advanced therapies and personalised medicine are saving more lives, where I can't read my own handwriting now, where the infrastructure at Talbot Green will be completed, where our patients will be benefiting from the Velindre Act, which is already marching ahead quickly in Merthyr Tydfil, in Abergavenny, and it's going to come on stream in Pontypridd and Rhondda and so on, and where the use of new technologies will alter hopefully blood product distribution through the use, for example, Peter, of drones and so on. So those are just some visions of the future. I can list a lot more. But these visions are not fanciful, and I commend them to the board with confidence and affection. I want to make some acknowledgements now to the hands that shaped the journey. Amongst our board and executive, I want to thank and acknowledge Nicola Williams, whose Nurse Science Fusion birthed the Oncology Academy. Raz Abraham, champion of hyperfractionation and medical leadership. Jonathan Fear, whose estate's magic built corridors overnight. And James Powell, our radiotherapy scholar and ARC anchor. Our clinical and scientific colleagues, every consultant who taught after hours, every physicist who calibrated beam data at dawn, every radiographer who piloted VR simulation trials. The Welsh Blood Service family, Sue Jones and the whole collections team, the donor engagement team who work so hard to keep our donors motivated, and our field hospital heroes, the FAIR Project Task Force who proved equality and safety can coexist. Our operational services and our volunteers, Catering Queen Sue Shepherd-Jones for trifle diplomacy, Michelle Pengelly and the Patient Support Unit for Lion Cubs and Quiet Magics. The Lion Cubs are a soft toy which get distributed to families who are going through difficult times with cancer, and that affected my family as well. And the donation hall stewards who greet every arm like returning royalty. Partners and donors, the University of Wales Trinity St David for trusting us with degree awarding powers, the Probert, Lucas and Moondance families for betting on Welsh radiotherapy, and apprentices who laid bricks in the rain and will soon lay foundations for their own communities. To the PAs who wrestle with diaries every day and still manage to get me to the right place at the right time, mostly. With a special thanks to Kyle Page for her infinite cheerfulness. To my IM colleagues, I'm board colleagues as well, but to my IM colleagues, past and present, for your wise counsel, for your absolute commitment to maintaining patient safety and good services in this organisation. Words can never convey how grateful I am. You kind of built me up, if you like. You know, I'm the chair of the organisation, but I can only be so good as the IMs that support me. And I want to say something about family and friends. To my husband, who chauffeured me through snow so Pfizer doses would not thaw. To Craig, that's my son, and 3 lion-hearted grandsons who teach me daily why compassion matters. And if any name is missing, the fault lies with space, not gratitude. 7 years ago, I walked into Velindre with lots of experience, but no idea what awaited me. Throughout it all, I was determined to blend compassion with curiosity, and I leave certain of two truths. First, that kindness is a form of precision. It lands exactly where pain lives. And second, that evidence is love made reproducible. To the patients and donors who trusted us with veins, hopes, and final breaths, to the colleagues who chased impossible deadlines and laughed in break rooms at 3 o'clock in the morning, to the protesters who unknowingly sharpened our diligence, and to Claire, my daughter-in-law, whose last days taught me that excellence is measured one family at a time. Diolch o galon. Thank you from my heart. I step aside with a full heart and a shorter to-do list. The files are backed up, the flower beds replanted, and the best chapters are already drafting themselves in clinics and workshops. May you write them boldly. Thank you.
I think you did incredibly well, to get to the end of that and to get to the end of it with almost without a wobble. So, well done, Luke. I'm going to start off. A few of us are going to thank you personally and on behalf of others. I'm going to start off by thanking you on behalf of staff, past and present. You're very well known to the staff, and I would say you're known to the staff in 3 different ways. You're known, you mentioned it earlier, as a nurse, first and foremost, and that empathy and connection with frontline staff comes through in everything you've done, both in the blood service and the cancer service. And I know the staff have found you visible, approachable, and I know I've seen you champion on their behalf with us here and with my executive colleagues. But beyond being a nurse, you're also known as an academic. And again, your passion, your ambition, and your championing of RD&I in the organisation is clear from everything you've taken us through there and everything I see in the work that I've come across since joining. But thirdly, and perhaps most profoundly, and you touched on it towards the end, you're known by staff as a mother, as a wife, as a colleague, and as a friend. And I think you have continued to play a role in connecting staff to what their experience of our services in the blood service and the cancer service mean to patients, donors, friends, family, and carers. And I think what shines through from the nurse, academic, and person is just values, and that I feel is your greatest contribution to staff. Personally, I've really enjoyed working with you in the 7 months I've been here. It's been an excellent relationship from my perspective, and a really healthy balance of challenge as well as support. So on my behalf, diolch, and I'll pass to Jazz for a few words.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Donna, and thank you all for the opportunity to speak and saying a few words on behalf of my colleagues in the room and those that are not in the room. And just to say, I've been in post throughout your tenure, Donna. When you came along in May 2018, I think I'd been in post for about 9 months. So I was a bit scared of you to begin with, because I thought you were so experienced and I really hadn't got much of a clue about what I was doing. But it's been a fantastic relationship that we've formed throughout your tenure. And, you have been a great support to me personally in my executive medical director role, but also in supporting other medical staff. And as you said, promoting leaders and making those personal connections, which mean a huge amount, supporting our engagement events, supporting the consultant appointments and always meeting people and spending time with them. And I think those things are really, really precious. On the clinical voice, it's absolutely clear that you champion the clinical voice for our organisation, and that is really powerful and profound, while still recognising that everybody in the organisation has a role to play. Mm-hmm. But the importance of actually just elevating that clinical voice, supporting our clinical and scientific strategy and leadership. In R&D, for several years, you chaired the R&D subcommittee. And, you did give us challenge, because I don't think that committee was where it needed to be. And it took several years for us to kind of rewrite our terms of reference, gather our kind of strategic ambition, and really think about what the integration of the multi-professional workforce meant for us in terms of the R&D agenda. And thinking about, where the blood service was when you started, it was a, well-formed R&D hub, if you like, which has really expanded now into its second iteration of the WBS R&D strategy. And some of that was also your personal connection, again, with certain individuals, giving them confidence, attending events, championing openly at those events the importance of the R&D agenda for the blood service. Absolutely key. In the cancer service, you supported us to write our cancer research ambitions, which we published and the board approved in 2021. Alongside that, we were developing the collaboration with Cardiff and Vale and Cardiff University, partly in meeting the requirements of the Nuffield advice that we'd also worked hard to develop. And I think all the time, giving that clarity and presence at board level, which is not something that's seen across all organizations, of the importance of this R&D agenda, supporting us, with the faction, value of intellectual property, importance of actually ticking those boxes and getting things over the line. And as part of the R&D cancer research ambitions, the integrated bid that we set up together, with Nick's input, to really look at a rounded bid and allowing us then to progress for 3 years. We know what we're going to do, and we're going to develop this ambition. You've mentioned the Advancing Radiotherapy Fund. One of my worries was that Donna was becoming more of an expert in radiotherapy than I am. In fact, I was starting to learn things from Donna when she'd say, "What about this?" And I'd have to go and look it up. So, fantastic leadership for that group to just have that can-do attitude, that it is possible, we can do these things, get on and do it. And then, ARC developing from ARF. Again, keeping up with your enthusiasm and energy, Donna. Matt and I would be running off to say, right, how do we do this now? We'll take this idea and we need to put the structures around it, but actually focusing on the mind to get that done. And I don't believe that ARC collaboration, the funding would have happened without your support for it. Personally, I absolutely believe that to be true. It's been a tricky time over these last few years, hasn't it? Getting through the pandemic was huge for us, but actually, in a sense, your clinical insight and intuition helped us to just break down barriers, write clinical principles overnight, which we signed off through the board, simplified those lines of communication, which was absolutely key. Coordinating the Nuffield advice at that critical point in terms of, challenge, but actually your unshakable vision for NVCC. And we all believed in that, and it was right. And here we are, the new hospital coming through the ground, something that we can be so proud of. So I think finally, your personal experience, that's the thing that I admire you the most for, if you like, how it was incredibly difficult, but in spite of that being so challenging, you translated that experience into reinforcing the benefits of the cancer service, drawing out its, the wonderful things that it does, reinforcing the importance of the anemia pathway for the blood service, and using that as something to really champion the trust, wonderful values and things that we do best. So I think just on that note, it's just that you've referenced it already. In fact, there's an alignment to what you said and what I'd written down about the fact that you always put patients and donors at the heart of everything that you do. And that is absolutely visible for us. You do leave us a wonderful legacy behind, and we will continue to endeavor to grow that legacy as a team. So thank you very much, Donna.
Jazz, thank you so much. Thank you, Jazz.
I'm very conscious that there's a dinner in early August probably as well, and people have so much that we could probably spend the afternoon talking about, both reminiscing and accolades, but it's 1:20. But we've a few more people we want to hear from, but we also want to have time for cake, inevitably, very importantly. And obviously we have private board at 2, so we want to have recovered ourselves from that. So, but Nicola's going to say a few words.
I'm given a 2-minute warning, so I will cut it down, and a lot of what I've going to say has already been said. So First of all, thank you, Donna. You've talked about the patients and donors being at the heart of everything that we do. That's the reason I came to work with Velindre. My pre-appointment discussions, including with yourself, Donna, as chair, really that felt a bit real rather than a mantra and that has been true every single day that I've been here. I have never ever felt as a member of this organisation that our patients and donors are not driving us, and you, with your leadership as chair, has driven that and maintained that. Being a fellow nurse, that was a promise you made to me when I started, is that you would not encroach on my professional responsibilities and my legislative responsibilities. And I know that's been hard for you on occasions, but you have kept to that, and you have allowed me to function as the nurse exec in this organisation. So I do thank you for that. And personally, I've learned a lot from you. I've learned a lot about your drive, your enthusiasm, resilience and commitment, but actually to really keep on focusing on what is important and what will make a difference. You gave me 3 challenges when I started. I remember that day sitting in your office, and you've talked about those already. So the first one was to raise the profile of nurses and AHPs in this organisation, because at that time they were not visible, their voices weren't heard. And with your support, we have absolutely done that. We have, in the last year, put the first 2 years consultant courses in. We have raised advanced practice, and Jazz and myself, through our clinical and scientific strategy, are looking at how we become far more clinically and scientifically led and driven as a trust. Second one was to really put support mechanisms in place so nurses and AHPs feel research is something they can do. And we've already heard a lot about that today. But we went from having those staff members feeling they couldn't do it, only clinical trials were what we did here at Velindre, to actually having 3 nurses on PhDs. We've got a number of staff taking first into research fellowships. We've got people writing the publication, and we've got people taking on a principal investigator role and actually on that research journey. And last one was the Oncology Academy. Just set that up, and you navigated the relationship with the University of Wales, Trinity St David, but actually we've now got an ability through the Academy to provide oncology education to the workforce in Wales. That is now a reality. We've had the first 2 accredited courses, and we've literally run with it, which that was your idea. And if it wasn't for you, Donna, we would not have achieved that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicola.
We'll keep the momentum going, Matt.
Okay, cool. Donna, I just wanted to talk a bit about your leadership as the charity over the past 7 years, which has been exemplary. So as chair of the Charitable Funds Committee, you've been a strong custodian of the funds, ensuring that the money that's been hard earned really from the fundraisers is invested for the best possible outcomes of patients and donors and staff. Your fair but robust scrutiny has been invaluable, really, to help that committee make the right choices. You talked about all of the activities and the events that the fundraising team run, but you have given up time and commitment to encourage and be involved in those, and they're varied. That has been remarkable in terms of the immense amount of time you've given up to that. You've always been willing to speak at these events with compassion and sincerity, sharing your personal stories, both from your varied career and your personal life, which has promoted and helped to retain fundraising interest in Velindre. I think that those stories help resonate with lots of people. And in 2018, you said my role and that of my trustee colleagues is to continue to support and grow the success of the charity. But I think we can safely say that your significant contribution to the charity and its fundraising efforts has undoubtedly done that and left the charity in a position today of strength. And it's made a difference to many lives already, well in the future. This is something you should be immensely proud of. So diolch yn fawr iawn, on behalf of the staff, charity, ambassadors, fundraisers, supporters, and importantly, the existing and future patients, donors of Velindre. Personally, I want to thank you for the support you've given me since I've been the trust.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So incredibly kind,
We're going to
everybody.
keep the momentum
Yes,
going.
it's over
There's
to
more,
me.
there's more.
There is there's more. I'm speaking on behalf of IMs past and present. I am going to keep it reasonably short because Stephen's going to follow from me and talk about what that's meant in terms of being a co-worker over many years. But there's a lot that's been said that would be relevant to IMs as well. So for me, it's a focus that I'd like to thank you for your truly dedicated leadership and commitment. That shone through, as people have said, your commitment to patients, donors and fundraisers, all of whom have benefited from and supported the Trust services over the years. You've challenged us and supported us a little bit, as David said earlier, in equal measure. And I think you get that balance really, really well set to enable us to address the challenges that we face, but also importantly to celebrate what we do well as well. And in part through your life experiences that you've so kindly shared with us. And I know that we've had many conversations about our shared experiences. You have kept us focused, you've kept us honest on the purpose of our discussions and activities. And you've always brought the human dimension into our considerations. And I think that's been really important. So whilst you've maintained that kind of razor sharp tenacity to keep us focused on improvement and patient safety and delivery, you've also, as people have said, always taken that time to champion and celebrate whether it's our donors, our patients and their families, our fundraisers, and of course our staff and volunteers. You've been hugely outspoken about the amazing things that they all do, and you've reflected that back into board, which I think has been exemplary. And your passion and humanity have always shone through in all the times throughout your tenure as chair. It's evident to me, from what I've heard from others, that that's how it was before I started, and that's certainly been my experience over the last year. So it remains to say thank you, Donna. We all wish you well with all that comes next. And whether that's spending time with your 3 grandsons or whether that's in your next endeavour, whatever that might be, thank you, Jill.
Go on, Lindsay, thank you so much. Thank you.
It's a deja vu moment for the ghosts of IM's past out present in Stephen.
Stand for first looking standing. Okay, I think I have the last word, do I? Okay, welcome, Chair, obviously colleagues, friends, and as we've all come to realise, today marks the end of a remarkable chapter in the life of this trust. Today, we say a fond farewell, not just to a special colleague, but to a special lady. As our chair steps down after years of dedicated service, I just want to take a moment to say thank you personally. I know that you've heard that thanks is echoed by everyone sitting around this table and will be echoed by everybody else who has previously served on this board, and you've mentioned some of those names. So it's been an enormous privilege to have worked alongside you for the past 7 years. And in that time, all of us and our predecessors have faced trials, we faced challenges that tested our resolve, that demanded steadfastness and courage, and called for the kind of principled leadership that you have always embodied. You've led this organisation through some of its most challenging and difficult times. You've led with clarity, you've led with courage, and you've led, most importantly, with compassion. But we think not now of all of those trials and all of those difficulties. We remember instead all of the achievements and all of the triumphs. Remember your vision and your steady leadership, helping bring real and lasting improvement to the care and the services that we all provide to the people of Wales. And some of us will remember your eagle eye for figures presented as percentage changes, which were in fact percentage points. And we remember so much more, and there'll be another occasion, I'm sure, to reflect on that in a more formal way. But as has already been described, what has always stood out is your unwavering commitment to patients, to donors, and to staff, and to doing the right thing in the right way. that even with coping, or even when coping with personal family tragedy, you have shown strength, dignity, generosity of spirit that has both moved and inspired us all. So, Chair, Donna, it's been a privilege to work with you. I will miss you. We will all miss you. I hope sincerely that our paths will cross again, perhaps somewhere else in public service. But on behalf of myself, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of the board, I thank you for your leadership, your wisdom and your kindness. You leave behind a legacy of excellence and of unwavering commitment to the people we serve. But whenever we leave, there's always some unfinished business, something else we wish we'd done. But as you leave, look back and take pleasure in all that you have achieved and that you have done. And look forward and find joy to whatever else is next to come. Thank you.
Any more words, but building blocks has been a bit of a metaphor, and actual building has been a big part of. Actually, we should recognise it's Stephen's second going in recent times. So I've got a small gift for Stephen, as well as for Donna, which relates very much to building blocks, which you can open and then allow other people to have a look at. But Donna, we couldn't let you go without some flowers.
Blimey. Oh, so colour coordinated.
The bit that, I don't know if we're requiring you to cut the cake today or not, or whether we have to get you to take it home, but
oh, look when I got a photograph. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I've said enough, but
You do need to close the meeting formally.
Was there any other business?
I've not been informed of any other business. So therefore I don't intend receiving any at this point in the meeting. The date of the next public meeting will be 25th of September 2025. And now we don't have to do that, but we exclude the press and public for the remainder of the meeting, etc. So that's the formal.
Yes.
Trust the board secretary, right? At the
I
last
know,
minute.
just get in there.
Get me back in. God, that's amazing, amazing comments from everyone.